And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, with Aryna Sabalenka against Magda Linette. Jack will be joining us shortly. Sabalenka is serving. She is already love 15 down, by the way. So good start for Linette. Sabalenka on the aggression here in this particular point, though. As we watch as they exchange backhands, this is turning into a bit of an epic rally, actually. And Sabalenka pulls the trigger but goes wide. Is the anxiety going to get to the Grand Slam semi-finalist? I say the Grand Slam semi-finalist. This is her fourth Grand Slam semi-final, and she has lost the previous three. Linette is in her first Grand Slam semi-final. So she has no track record, if you like, at this stage. Is that going to be an advantage or a disadvantage? I think most of us, by the way, have Sabalenka winning this particular encounter. Let us know your thoughts in the live chat. Also, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Love 30 currently on the Sabalenka serve. Also, feel free to send in a super chat. You can join us with that as Sabalenka goes long. And as a result, it means that Magda Linette has 3 break points. Magda Linette, 3 break points. Love 40 on the Sabalenka serve. Where are you going to go with this? Is Aryna a little nervy? Quite possibly. Probably both players are. Anyway, let's see where she goes. Backhand return from Linette. Backhand Sabalenka. Backhand Linette. They're exchanging backhands at the moment. Sabalenka goes long. Linette leads. She's with a breaker serve. She's already won love up, and there are plenty of Polish support for her in the crowd. So it's Linette off the mark first. Are we surprised by that? Maybe. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, maybe. Let's share the score on the screen so you can see it pretty clearly. There we go. Magda Linette leads 1-0 already, or 1-love. Also, let me know your thoughts on the previous match that occurred earlier. We have, and here's Jack, by the way. He's just about to join us. 3, 2, 1, and there is Jack. By the way, we've already got a break of serve. I can't hear you, Jack, but maybe that's me. I need to turn my volume up, perhaps.
No, it's me. It's me. Of course, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Thanks very much, John, for that. Because I wouldn't have noticed for a while. Yeah, I've just got it on now. Just noticed Linette's broken. Very high chance. I'm already diving into the analysis. Why not? Very high chance Sabalenka feels a little bit of nerves here compared to our other match. This is the the monkey on her back, I guess, for want of a better phrase. You know, the stage of the slam she's not quite got past yet. The only thing she really needs to tick off her list is getting to a final of a slam. Obviously, I'm not including the title as well. But yeah, if there were going to be nerves, it would be here. But I've got loads to say, John. Just first, how you doing?
Cool. Yeah, fine. No, and go away with that last. I mean, that is the thing. Sabalenka is in her 4th Grand Slam semi-final, having lost the previous 3. I would also add to that she's probably a heavier favorite in this than the previous 3 that she's been in. That's not to say that she didn't, against Leylah Fernandez at the US Open. I'm sure there were many thinking that Sabalenka would win that. But I just think that could have gone either way. I mean, Fernandez had an incredible run, beating Osaka on the way. She was building a resume, if you like, in that tournament for me that Fernandez was. So there was no guarantees on either side of the net. Also against Pliskova at Wimbledon, I think it was. And then, of course, Swiatek last year in New York. For me, Sabalenka is not the only overwhelming favorite in either of those 2 semifinals, especially against Swiatek, of course. Today she is. So yeah, we'll see.
But the Wimbledon one's really interesting because Sabalenka played a great match there. I don't think she did much wrong. Pliskova just came out and played as well as Pliskova can play. People forget that she is a great player, and she has these crazy upsets from time to time. But when she's playing her best, she's really, really good. It was so surprising she hadn't made a final at Wimbledon before that, or made it past the 2nd round or whatever it was, because she's a great player for Wimbledon. And Sabalenka played a great match. Just she got beaten by the better player that day. Likewise against Swiatek, she didn't play a bad match there either. So it's not like she's.
Yeah, she didn't, but she was a breakup in the 3rd. By the way, 2-love now, Linette. But she was a breakup in the 3rd, so there was the final in sight.
Yeah, you gotta give Swiatek credit for that, though, right? I mean, anybody that gets beaten by Swiatek, anybody that is a break up against Swiatek in the third, that's hardly done and dusted at that point, is it? There's very few positions where you're a break up against any player, and I feel less confident. So I think, again, I don't blame her for that. I just think she's not as bad as people think she is in these stages. The only one I can think of is Fernandez at the
Okay.
US Open. That was ropey. And I'll give her that. I'll give haters that she didn't turn up there. There was a few double faults at the wrong times. A few loose shots in that tie break in the first set. Fernandez made her play like that, I guess you could argue. But
Yeah.
Sabalenka could have played better there for sure.
She was a little nervy in the first set against Vekic. Sabalenka's rightly been receiving some praise for eliminating the double faults from her game that we all remember, especially a year ago. But throughout large parts of 2022, she did seem to have the yips on her serve regarding double faults. She's taken a 30-love lead, by the way, in this particular game as she tries to get on the board in terms of games in this first set. But Vekic was also seemingly suffering on her serve too. She was it was kind of double faults left, right, and center in that match. But possibly, I think there was even a couple more from Vekic. It wasn't until the second set that the real Sabalenka stood up, in my opinion, or maybe towards the end of the first and then throughout the second set. I mean, she's my tip to win the title, and she's going to be playing Rybakina, by the way, in the final. Is that no? It's not. Okay, so they're in the middle of a rally here at 30 love. Sabalenka goes along 30-15. Did you manage to catch any of that Rybakina match?
Yeah, I saw all of the first set before I had to head out. I basically saw Rybakina had some pretty comfortable leads at some point. She had a set point, for example. In fairness to Azarenka, she came up with a really nice hot shot. And then the wheels kind of came off. The first serve wasn't finding the court with the usual reliability it does, and she looked very ropey for a long time. So for her to have come through that tiebreak, which I didn't actually get to see, I'm very surprised that she must have turned something on from the baseline.
Yeah. By the way, it's 30 all after talking of ropey. There was a ropey backhand there from Sabalenka. So she is loved to 30 all. Sorry?
She said, hi, Jane.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was looking at the chat. Hi, Janie. Nice of you to join us. I see. It's directed at you. Yeah. Well, Janie was with me before in the previous match. By the way, it's just 1 minute before 6 a.m. in New York. So hats off to her for seeing us through the bleary eyes. Okay, Sabalenka.
Ooh,
oh, wow.
There we go. There we go. It looks like we're perfectly in sync as well by the sounds of it, John,
great.
Which is good.
For a change, that's great. I like being in sync, particularly like co-commentators.
I was going to give a little bit of statistician stuff on the serve of Sabalenka. I think that's always good to hear, right? So last year you were talking about the double faults and how they plagued her. First half of the career, at least, there was first half of the season, even at least, and even the second half was pretty bad. But the first half was particularly bad. And at this event last year, she was double faulting 14 times per match on average. Look at this year, 4 times per match. The contrast is obviously as stark as it can get. She talked about the fact she wouldn't have tried to fix her serve if she hadn't went through that sort of nightmare scenario on it as well. So it's there was a lot of humility from her to sort of accept she had to change it. And she's very thankful in hindsight that she did have that stage of her serving career, I guess, because she's come out better for it. And technically, basically what she's done, there was this really sort of pronounced pause halfway through the serve right before she sort of took off. She still has that little bit, but if you slow it down, it is one continuous movement now, and it sort of bounces out of that pause rather than just freezes there. It's made a big difference to how fluid the serve is. There's a lot more topspin on it, so rather than slicing it a lot of the time, Sabalenka gets a lot of pop in the slice, flies through the court, but obviously doesn't find the court with it as often as she would like. So topspin and no pauses, John.
It's been a sort of, as you said, 12-month cycle. 12 months ago, I think it was in Adelaide before the Australian Open, where there was just some really horrible double faults and so many in matches, as you highlighted the average during the course of the year. But I talk about a 12-month cycle. I think there were some moments during the Australian Open where it got a little bit better, which is, by the way, she was winning matches at the Australian Open despite doing a dozen or so double faults per match, which is hats off to her. Then I remember her mentioning it in her on-court speech after she beat Pliskova, I'm going to say, at the US Open last year at the quarterfinal stage. And she mentioned how she'd made step forwards and that she'd hoped that period of her career was over in terms of the double faults. She then, for me, from the US Open, I would even draw a line in the sand for Sabalenka from that match with Kai Kanepi that she had in the third round, where I think she was facing a double breakdown, and I think she got a net cord on match point as well, albeit I think it was a couple of games later, or maybe even during the tiebreak. But I draw a line in the sand because she was still struggling in that US Open until that Kai Kanepi match. She then gets to the semifinals. She then arguably is the better person or better player on the court, albeit that she lost to Swiatek. She then has a good end to the season, in my opinion, including a good win against Swiatek at the WTA finals. Then she wins in Adelaide without dropping a set, and she's not dropped a set yet here either. So she's had a good 6 months, is what I'm saying. She's not dropped a set this year so far.
Do you know, John, the longest set streak of her season last year was 5. And all of a sudden, she's here and she's won 8.
She only won 5 sets in a row, and that was her peak last year.
Yeah. And this year, she's won 18 in a row.
Yeah. She may lose a set today, though. Let's see. She's a breakdown and 40 love Linette. That's a great return there from Sabalenka. 40-15.
It's interesting what you'll get from Linette on serve, because Pliskova lost a lot of points in the 0 to 4 shot rally length when she was returning Linette's serve. Now, for a player like Pliskova, it's probably make or break, right? You go for broke, basically. So either you hit a return that's going to be put you on top of the point, or you're going to hit a return that hits the net, goes long, whatever. And there was a lot of that. And really, there's a fairly strong argument to make that Pliskova didn't show up, just as Garcia didn't show up either. I'm not saying Linette doesn't deserve to be here. She's playing really great tennis, and in the slower conditions, her style of play is a little bit more, difficult for the other player to deal with. But somebody like Sabalenka, with the confidence she's got on return, particularly that backhand return, should be able to capitalize on the slower serve from Linette, where other players haven't.
I watched both of those matches. I say watched, I think I was commentating for both. I'm not sure. But anyway, when a reason I differentiate between the two, sometimes when you're commentating, it's a little harder to analyze. But what I would say about those two wins for Linette, Garcia was 3-love up with a double break, which tells you something about what must have happened in that first set for her to lose 7-6. That's not to say that lots of things weren't going on the other side of the net, but I think it was an erratic performance from Garcia. Linette was there to take advantage. Hats off to her for that. Then the match against Pliskova, she was the better player, probably Linette throughout, from memory. But I would also add that maybe towards the end of the match, Pliskova had, maybe not given up the ghost, but certainly given up the belief that she was going to get back into the match. And as a result, Linette wins in straight sets. It looked like Pliskova was quite happy to just get off the court, to be honest with you, and probably get on the next plane home. She just didn't want to be there for the last couple of games. That's how it felt, at least, watching it. There was a couple of forehands that, she could have gone big on or whatever. That's an excellent backhand there, Sabalenka. She gets a break point.
This is a recovery from 40 love down, by the way, as well.
Indeed.
A little on Pliskova there. I think Pliskova always looks pretty nonplussed for starters, right? But I would also say she might just be a little match unfit. I feel like, having to dig in maybe isn't something she's done in the best part of like half a year. So hashtag nonplussed. Yeah. So there's a high chance maybe she's just feeling a little bit not match fit, is what I would read into that, because it would have been a big effort to come back against somebody like Linette from that position.
Yeah, excellent backhand there from Linette, by the way, landing on the baseline, and there's another one though that goes long.
That's great from Sabalenka. See, this is a good example of misses 2 returns to go down 30 love. I think the 40 love point was pretty loose as well, and then nails a few backhands to the back of the line, and it just puts Linette back. Doesn't let her sort of get into that neutral rally phase where she can just, hit for days and let the other person make the mistake. Sabalenka was the one that took the initiative, again, where Garcia and Pliskova didn't.
2 games all. We've had 2 breaks of serve as well. So Linette had the early advantage. In terms of the match, I always feel as if you're the underdog, and Linette is, both in terms of rankings, but various other things that I've outlined, especially regarding Sabalenka so far. You just feel as though you've probably got to win the first set. You've got to hold on to that. I mean, she had the advantage at 2-love. It's a long, long way to go yet, but any time when a favorite, gets it back on serve. It's like when Djokovic won that first set with a double break against Rublev yesterday, the writing was on the wall before the match started. But once the favorite, the overwhelming favorite, wins in that fashion, you're in big trouble. Do you have any thoughts on that Djokovic Rublev match, by the way?
Yeah, I think I posted a tweet beforehand of just like the overwhelming odds in Novak's favour. But I mean, you've got 9-time champion, 39 match streak in Australia. Rublev 0-6 in quarterfinals. Rublev 0-6 against former Slam champs in slams, and sure enough, 1, 2, and 4. It wasn't a surprise. Wasn't that interesting, I guess, in terms of what happens. Yeah,
I think a stat that has not been highlighted enough, because actually we've meant the highlight, the stat that he's got in Australia has been mentioned a lot, and understandably so. Whatever it is, 35 wins in a row or something like that. But actually, it's the one defeat since so ignore. You and I are big fans of ignoring the Laver Cup, let's say, in terms of relevance. So let's not take that into consideration. He's lost once since losing to Rafa at the French Open.
He's lost once.
I think it's 35 out of 36. And the one he lost?
Tell me.
Holger Rune, Paris Bercy, when he's a breakup.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's the only one he's lost. So that run, because he didn't play, obviously, any tournaments between the French Open and Wimbledon, that run is winning Wimbledon. It is then taking an enforced break, if you like.
Yeah. And then Tel Aviv, right?
Tel Aviv.
Astana.
Exactly.
World Tour Finals, Adelaide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're here.
Yeah. And obviously Paris Bercy, where he would have won 4 out of 5 matches, something like that as well. Including Tsitsipas in the semi-finals, of course, and they could well be they're certainly on a collision course right now to meet in the final. I think most people at this stage have those two going through. I would say there's the Tommy Paul. Listen, I remember talking to you. Oh, that's a good forehand from Sabalenka.
Yeah, just a really long rally as well, and it was like, how does Sabalenka break free of this? There was a really risky sort of flat forehand to the baseline before she put that last one away, so that was very, very nice.
What's this? Wait, but Team has a US Open chance, so he has at least one against a Slam champ. Jeffo there is tenuously taking us towards Dominic Thiem winning the US Open in 2020, but I have no idea what he's reacting to. Maybe it's one of the
No. It's what I was saying about. Oh, of course, Rublev beat Thiem at the start of this tournament. Sorry, actually, there, Jeffo, you are correct. Okay. That's fair. I will give you that one. I didn't notice that actually. Yeah, okay. So he does have one win against the Slam champ. Fine.
Sabalenka 40-30 game point. She was in a spot of bother at 15-30. So yeah.
So yeah, some really good points there. Again, Linette's doing what she did against Garcia and Pliskova, peppering the baseline with fairly safe shots, and they're very good. They're very deep generally. She's been playing great this whole tournament, but Sabalenka came up with absolute money at 15-30 there to see her through this game.
3-2, she holds. So we talked about Rybakina and her semi-final earlier as well. You're right. There was the first set was amazing. I think I can see Azarenka on my screen right now. She's been attending press conferences in shades.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's been doing that, I think, for 2 or 3 matches. She's also walking on court with a Paris Saint-Germain shirt. I don't know. There must be a thought process behind that, and certainly the Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe she's become a fan of the club from France.
If it's a sponsorship thing, it's not as subtle as like the Rafa Rolex or anything, is it?
I don't know. Maybe she's got a sponsorship with one of the sponsors of Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know. I think they may have an airline on that trip.
Hi, Lexi, by the way. Sorry, I always feel like I need to respond when people say hi. It's very nice of them. So, hi, Lexi.
Right now, with just a couple of dozen viewers, it's quite easy. But you wait till we're big time, Jack, and we've got 40 viewers. It's you're gonna be struggling to say hi to everyone. Anyway, listen, Sabalenka leads 3-2 now. She's won 3 games in a row. That includes 2 holds and a break.
That's
And
beautiful return, unless
is
it's
a
out.
return and a half.
Oh, no, it is in. It's good. Jeez, oh. So interesting to see where Linette decides to serve throughout the match. I was just trying to look it up there. She's been going for the Sabalenka backhand generally, or at least the wide serve on either side, I guess. I still think the Sabalenka backhand return is the best backhand return, and maybe Swiatek's better. But yeah, overall, without the godliness of Swiatek to think about, I would say for the rest of the tour, it's Sabalenka.
By the way, Stephen here is addressing me, which is very kind of you, Stephen. But he's a compatriot of yours, Jack, in that he's also Scottish.
Oh, are you, Stephen? Well, nice to meet a fellow Scot. It's been a while since I've seen one out in the wild in tennis Twitter. So nice to see you, Stephen.
So Stephen is tuning in. I think he's also in Glasgow, if memory serves. Okay, so it's 15 all here on the Linette serve. Feels like Sabalenka's in charge at this point. Let's see how it pans out. Sabalenka on the backhand goes into the net. Yeah, who went into? Oh, it was Rybakina actually. Rybakina hit a couple of shots into the net when she was very much in charge of the point and had 1 foot in the final. And I thought, oh, if she doesn't make it, then she's going to regret that. But she did make it. But regarding the first set, yeah, Azarenka got the first break. She went up 3-2 with a break, but Rybakina broke back immediately and was serving for the first set. Then Azarenka gets it back, but it did feel until at least 5-3 Rybakina serving, it did feel as though, the breaks were coming off the returner, if that makes sense. It wasn't like a collapse of one sort or another from the server. It was excellent returns from Azarenka. It was excellent winners from as Sabalenka goes wide with a return there. It was just good returning, if you like. And at 5, that was until 5-3. Then from 5-3 until basically 3/4 of the way through the tiebreak, Rybakina's first serve deserted her. And it was the first serve stats going into the tiebreaker that were then augmented at certain points during the tiebreaker from Rybakina, where she went down from about 65% first serve down to about 48%, I think it was, where she just wasn't getting first serves in. And as a result, Azarenka gets back into it. She did eke out a breakup, I think, Rybakina, but then she relinquishes that. Then she gets another breakup, I think a double breakup. She relinquishes that again. And ultimately, sort of Rybakina kind of always felt just about in charge of it, but it was a really, really, really good semi-final, I would say, for a set and a half. And then Rybakina sort of put on the afterburners.
Yeah, from what I saw, there was some really good quality shots. Azarenka kind of brings out the best in most players, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, I'm really surprised Rybakina won that first set. From everything I saw, the serve really did go walkabouts for a while. So she obviously must have come up with some great shots from the back of the court.
She did. 3 all here. Sabalenka serving at 30 love. That's a lovely backhand, by the way, down the line.
Yeah, just thinking that. Such a good backhand. Tough to know where to hit against Sabalenka. Honestly, I'd say going down the middle of the court is maybe not an awful idea against her if you can get it deep enough. Just sort of push her back, take away the angles from her a little bit. She does have quite linear strikes, I guess. But, if you can rely on her overheating on certain days, then I don't think it's a bad tactic.
Yeah. Got a backhand here for Sabalenka. Backhand Linette. Backhand again on the Linette thing. What can Linette do to? Well, she's just won that point. What can Linette do to really hurt Sabalenka? We've spoken about Sabalenka's strengths. We've touched on maybe 1 or 2 mental questions. What else can Linette do to Sabalenka?
I think that was a great example of what I touched on there, but I'll sort of elaborate. It's like not going for the angles quite as much. If you go down the middle of the court and let Sabalenka generate the pace without hitting an angle of her own, Linette's got the pace to work with. So there, she doesn't quite go for the sidelines at all. In fact, doesn't even cross the sidelines with the ball that she hit. Sabalenka hammers it back straight back to Linette. And what does Linette do? Obviously, she massages it back down the line. So taking away the angles from Sabalenka is probably quite a good idea and just letting her generate all the pace on the ball.
Okay, I just lost my live feed for a second, but hopefully it'll be back in a...
One other thing as well, John, already Linette's putting in a crazily high percentage of first serves. Probably a great idea. Just, take a little bit off the first serve, keep Sabalenka back a bit, sacrifice the fact you're not going to win any free points on first serve, but don't give Sabalenka any second serves to work with to at least, stop a serve getting attacked. basically.
Indeed. Who did you have winning the women's tournament? Pegula, was it? Before the tournament?
Yes.
That,
But
that wasn't a tease because these things happen. But yeah, what were were you commentating on that? I can't remember. I know I did
yeah,
Pegula against. Was it you with Pegula and
yeah, I was. I made a tweet about it. I was. I don't think it's a bad loss. I do think that the conditions were pretty awful for her, and I want to say I chose Pegula at the start of the tournament, thinking that the conditions were going to play the same as last year. Didn't feel quite as confident going for the tournament, but still thought she was playing well enough to win a match like that. But then the roof closed and it was incredibly slow, and yeah, she couldn't really do anything against Azarenka's moonballs, basically.
I saw a comparison or a conversation one or two of us were having on Twitter yesterday with Pegula and Rublev and their quarterfinal stats, if you like. We touched on Rublev earlier, now losing 7 Grand Slam quarterfinals in a row, winning just 2 sets as well, which I think is also notable. Pegula's now lost 4, I believe.
Five.
Five, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
5 in her career. So similar stats on that front, at least in terms of wins and losses, if you like. But you were very much of the belief that Pegula's record is just one of those things. Running into Swiatek as she did in New York last year, for example, it's a bit more damning for Rublev, if you like, despite the fact he's playing Novak yesterday.
Yeah, I actually think maybe me posting it straight after the Novak quarterfinal was maybe not the best idea, because that makes it look like I think he had a chance in the Novak quarterfinal. I don't think that. I think he was always losing that regardless of how he played. I just think if he were to turn up in a quarterfinal again, we might get exactly the same result, even if he's considered the favourite, given the TFO match and given the Cilic match. I know Cilic played well, but there was chances in that match, and Rublev couldn't quite deliver. So I don't know. I think he does feel the pressure the deeper he gets in it. As always, it's just I think, and I would love to be proved wrong. It's just observation, speculation. I don't know for sure. Rublev might feel absolutely no pressure.
No, but I would augment that in a way by we've seen just how devastated he was after the defeat yesterday. I know he mentioned how well Novak played in the press conference, and of course Novak did play well. I think Novak has a gear or two more, which he probably demonstrated against de Minaur. Didn't yesterday. Novak on the court actually had an awkward question from Jim Courier. Is that the best you've played? And he knows that that's not the best he's played.
Yeah.
And he knows that probably that was a B performance yesterday, but he also doesn't want to disrespect Rublev with his answer. So he sort of does his best and just says second best, that I've played, which is as best as he can. Or I think he says almost second best, something like that. For me, and this is hats off to Novak, he is playing somewhere he's playing at about 70, 80% of his capabilities yesterday, in my opinion. I think Rublev absolutely had to bring his A-plus game yesterday. And he didn't. Rublev didn't play that great either. Rublev can play better. There were moments when Rublev was in charge of the point. There were moments when Rublev should be winning certain points very easily. And he's just having a brain moment where he's making a mistake with where to put the ball, and he's putting it back where Novak needs it and wants it, if you like. Yeah. So that would, and also seeing him on the exercise bike yesterday, he knows he didn't show up yesterday as well. He needed an A-plus day, whilst Novak had a C- day, if you like, to maybe push it to 5 sets or to have a chance of winning that match. In the end, he brings a B- or a B day, and so does Novak. And when that happens, it's straight sets. There you go.
I'm going to get the statistics up, because I'm very intrigued to know if Rublev's serve placement wasn't quite as good as it could have been. Because to my belief, I think he puts a lot more pace in the ball than some servers, but doesn't place it quite as well as, let's say, Felix Auger-Aliassime, for example, who I think would get on a lot better against Djokovic. And Rublev's only play really against Djokovic is serve +1, and if you're not in that sort of range of rally, you've lost the point, basically. So, he was never winning it.
Indeed. Anyway, Novak goes on and will play Tommy Paul tomorrow. This here is 4 games all, so 15 love Sabalenka. If anything crazy does happen, I will certainly halt any conversations about other matches and stuff So don't worry, you're not missing anything mad happening in this Linette Sabalenka semi-final. Sabalenka looking for her first Grand Slam final, and if she makes it, she'll be playing Rybakina. I think that would be a really, really interesting final.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it'll come down to who can perform better in the day. I'd love to see both players peaking at the same time.
Me too.
In which case, I mean, who's going to call that if they're both playing well at the same time?
For me, if they both play their absolute best that they can play on a hard court, that they've demonstrated on a hard court over the last sort of 6 months or so, Sabalenka. But listen, Rybakina's for me the win against Collins. I know you and I spoke about the Swiatek match just before it occurred on Saturday, or we had the chat on Saturday. I think the match occurred on Sunday, but the win against Collins made me sit up and take notice because Collins won a set, but it was a nip and tuck set. The other 2 sets were very comfortable for Rybakina. She was so solid on serve, so solid with her winners. And that then gave me the belief that she would beat Swiatek, and she did. 6-4, 6-4, I think it was.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I actually believe Collins was maybe not playing quite her best as well, right? But somebody said something about an injury, I think. But even then, to beat Collins like that, very, very impressive. And it was, you actually called Rybakina before the match, right? To beat Swiatek?
Yeah, before the match, but I didn't have her getting that far, so it's kind of a bit of both. But yeah, I did because of that Collins match. And the Collins injury, by the way, Sabalenka holds to love, so it's 5-4. The Collins injury, I don't think impacted her during the tournament. It may have done the further Collins had gone. We saw her knee was strapped up. It didn't seem to be affecting her in that match. Maybe Collins can say something on that, and she may do so in the coming days or weeks. But for me, it was Rybakina winning that match rather than Collins looking restricted on movement. Rybakina had a good serving day. Collins had a bad return day. Ergo, Rybakina wins. Hi, Alison, who's tuning in from Antwerp. Not a million miles away from where I am, about 2 hours down the road, I think, from Bonn. By car or train. Somebody has posted in Russian, and that's great. I believe it's Russian, by the way. It could be another acrylic language, but I believe it's. I'm just not going to put it on the screen just because I don't know what it says. It's probably something very nice. It's probably something about Rublev. Best luck next time. But I daren't put it on the screen because I don't know what it says. But hi, if you understand English, hi, hello. Yes. So Sabalenka, by the way, now leads 5-4. So Linette is serving to stay in this first set. This is going to be a big game, obviously.
It's going to be huge. Yeah, and I think Sabalenka steps up here. I'm going to call it. Why not? A few second serves to work with. Linette's first serve has been, in the court pretty much every time. Maybe a few loose ones now, and Sabalenka steps in to crunch it. Let's see.
It does have that feel, though. I think you're right. Second serve as well. So I agree with you. I completely get that. You just feel as though Sabalenka 2-love down, now 5-4 up. She's in an aggressive return position here inside the baseline. What's going to happen here? Linette goes down the tee, backhand return. They're on backhands at the moment, and they're exchanging it, although it's a forehand Sabalenka right now. You just feel as though... Oh, a net cord there. Forehand now to forehand.
It's great. See, it's great.
Oh, that's a great forehand from Linette.
It's great. Very good example again of Linette so she goes cross court, holds her ground, and waits for Sabalenka to make the change in direction. She doesn't. Linette's there, and she uses the pace to hit the winner with loads of space down the court. That's the kind of play you'll see from Linette over and over again. It's very good. Counter punching, right?
By the way, the comment in the live chat could also be in support of Sabalenka, quite possibly. But who knows? But feel free to keep commenting and. Yeah. Anyway, that's by the by. 15-love Linette, 4-5, second serve. So we mentioned about her first serves. She's gone awry on 2 serves now. Backhand return from Sabalenka goes into the net. By the way, Azarenka today, you'll look at the stats from that Azarenka match against Rybakina, and I think she double faulted maybe 4 times in the match. Doesn't seem to be anything crazy in that, but they did come at inopportune moments.
Really?
In the tie break, in the second set. Yeah, including, I think, the final game when she got broken.
Eek.
Yeah. Anyway, Sabalenka backhand, forehand now, Saba, putting Linette under a bit of pressure here, but Linette is up 30-love on the scoreboard. Good forehands here.
Good forehand, yeah.
Defense, but not good enough. Yeah, 30-15.
Really well played. Sabalenka, again, if she doesn't break here, I still am too worried. She's holding serve so easily throughout the whole tournament. First serve has been pretty much untouchable. I think she's been over 70% every single match, and even then 70% was on the lower end of the scale. Bencic getting 70%. It's been closer to 80. She's just, as soon as she gets that first serve in, the next shot is absolutely devastating. So given the serve improvements that her biomechanics trainer has made, I trust in her to stay in this set, even if she doesn't break, which is looking likely, John.
It was the biomechanics, that she touched on against in that on-court interview I mentioned after her win against Pliskova, which, by the way, was a really good win for Sabalenka last year. I was fortunate enough to be in the stadium for that match, and she won it reasonably comfortably in straight sets. Not all straight sets wins are comfortable, but that one was for Saba. Yeah. Okay, Sabalenka nets with a return. So 5-all. I think you and I were feeling a decisive break there, but it didn't come. So good hold there for Magda.
If you want to take a look at in fact, we'll do it at 6-5, of course, once there's a little bit of a lull in play, but I've got the second serve placement of Sabalenka. I bet she double faults like 4 times in this game now. This is probably commentator's curse. But should she get through this game unscathed, it's worth taking a look where the second serves are going. Here we go.
I'm also probably going to get some stats up from this particular match as well. 15-love, Sabalenka leads with an unreturnable there. Let's see if I can... that's why I couldn't find the live score. So I will get a few stats up as well regarding this match. It's currently 5-all. That's the most important stat, of course. 15-love, Sabalenka leads on her serve. That time she goes wide.
So pay attention to where she goes with her second serve.
So what are you suggesting? She's more likely to go on the second serve in which direction?
And neither. She's plays it really safe in the second serve. Oh, there's a double fault. There we go. What did I tell you? I was going to say she used to put a lot of slice on it, so the second serve tended to be a lot deeper in the box. Nowadays, it tends to land right slap bang in the middle of the box. So very heavy. She's just added a lot of weight to it. It's not attackable necessarily, but it's a lot safer and repeatable, basically.
What were you saying about Linette and first serves? Did you give a stat for her in the tournament? Did I hear that?
Not overall, but I took a glance at a few of her other matches, and she's averaging close to over 70% first serves in, if not more than that. I didn't add it all up, but no problem. The point is, anyway, she's putting a lot of first serves in the court just to stop people stepping in on the second serve, relying on her rally temperament rather than having to get cheap points from the serve alone.
Yeah, today she's at 82%.
Yeah,
Linette.
So it's a conscious tactic for sure. And let's take a look at Linette's first serve placement. Yeah, she's went close to the lines 3 times. Basically, the other ones aren't particularly close to the sidelines, but they are still well placed actually. So she has got some consistency going on there. That is applaudable, definitely.
Yeah, and of course that percentage won't change anytime soon because at the moment Sabalenka is serving 30-15. She leads in this particular game. 5 games also a particularly tight first set. I must admit, once Sabalenka got it back on serve, I thought she was going to put on the afterburners, but Linette is not going anywhere. Backhand slice there from both players.
Interesting rally here. Sabalenka hanging tight though, gets a good forehand cross, should be enough. Is enough.
It is 40-15, 2 game points for a 6-5 lead.
So if you want to see service placement, John, just to save me from doing the shared screen, if you're on the same page, that's it. And then
I'm on the Aussie Open page, yeah.
Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit and then go to Court Vision, so back up a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There's a few tabs. That's it. Court Vision.
Court Vision, where is it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, because Sabalenka's held, by the way, 6-5.
And scroll down, click on A Sabalenka on the left. So go back up again, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
So there it is on the left now.
Oh, shit.
There we go. That's it. And then there's a little tab where it says Winners 15. Click on that. And click on second serve. Yeah, so now if you go down, and it's only the one double fault, remember, you can see most of them. There's been 2 that have been close to the sidelines, but the rest are generally right down the middle of the court and nowhere near the sidelines.
Okay.
So the FS is the first serve she's missed, and then the second winner or lost is the second serve placement. So you can see most of them are going right down the middle of the court. So this has been a lot safer with the second serve.
Indeed, she is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, 6-5, she leads for both of these players here contesting for a place in Saturday's Australian Open final. That'll be on European time. I'm guessing Central European time about 9:30 in the morning. That would be my guess. I haven't checked the exact time, but I'm pretty sure 8:30 GMT, which will be about 3:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Linette here 5-6, serving to stay in this first set for the second time. Last time she served reasonably comfortably. I think it was to 15. Let's see if she can be equally comfortable this time.
Yeah, I'll try and take us through a few of the points. This first one, obviously crucial. Again, great first serve out wide. Doesn't take any risk, but the Sabalenka return is good enough that the backhand was awkward and it's gone into the net. Love 15. Linette, sorry, whatever.
Yeah. I remember one particular serve that she got on the line earlier, maybe 1 or 2 games ago, and that one felt like it hit the line too, or was very close to it. So the placement was really good from Linette, albeit the pace maybe wasn't electric, and as a result, Sabalenka was able to punish with the return.
I mean, it's about reading the serve because, as I say, she's not putting anything on the first serve. That's obviously a conscious decision. I've seen Linette serving over 160 before, but she seems to be. That is a double fault, by the way. She seems to be averaging around 140. I can look that up. I keep forgetting I can look that up. Either way, Sabalenka maybe has a better read on it, and she's now love 30. Linette just feeling a little bit of pressure to put the first serve in a better place. Double faults, bit of pressure. Here we go.
Yep, love 30. Where are we going with this serve, Linette? We are going to the backhand of Aryna. Great return there for Aryna. Now they're exchanging backhands. They continue to do so. Sabalenka looking pretty solid today. Good depth there. Ooh, I say solid. I mean,
gets away with
she
that.
went big on the forehand. I understand that the selection was right, even if the execution was slightly off.
Goes into the body, though, with the first serve. Not really, again, a particularly risky play, and she almost got punished for it, but good rally temperament to stay on the point. 15-30.
Yeah, I mean, it was there for Saba. It was obviously over the higher part of the net, and she hit it into the net. Ooh, decent first serve there. Linette now in charge of this point, and she wins it with a winner. 30 all.
Yeah, great forehand. Again, great placement on the first serve. It's good enough. She's literally only just getting it in the right place, without taking on too much risk every time to merit that speed of serve being difficult, basically. So she's doing really well on the serve placement.
Yeah, agreed. 30 all. Still a couple of points away for Sabalenka, but obviously looking very different compared to love 30. Gets the first serve in, and is that going to be a winner?
Yeah,
yes,
great
it
one
is a
too.
winner enough. It won the point. 40-30 now, game point for a tiebreak.
She's stepped up here, no doubt about it. That was 3 incredible points in a row.
Yeah, I agree. Good first serves, good placement, putting herself in excellent positions to win the point.
Yeah, she's done more than counter punch in pressure moments here. I mean, the placement on the serve in the first point in particular, or the second point even, that she got, and then the forehands that she's lacing into the corners, incredibly impressive. 40-30.
First serve here, I believe, unless I've missed the first one. Aryna here facing it with a backhand return. Magda Linette now on the forehand of Linette. It's there for Sabalenka if she wants it, I think, but maybe not so much now. Slice then from Linette, forehand Saba, winner, juice.
It's the forehand cross that's doing the damage. When she gets a look at that, she's getting a tight enough angle, even when Linette's going down the middle of the court, that Sabalenka's punishing. So adding on to what I said earlier about going down the middle of the court, it's kind of got to be leaning on the backhand side, right? Because Sabalenka's eating up that forehand cross court every time she gets a look.
Linette serving. Sabalenka comfortably leading the winners count. Maybe that's not such a surprise. Linette gets the first serve in. Backhand now of Sabalenka. Backhand Linette. Forehand Saba. Now we're on the backhand of Sabalenka. Backhand Linette. She just tries to stay in the point right now. Some good defense from her. This is turning into a pretty good point. Saba's going to put it into the net. I was about to say she's going to win the point, but no.
That was a chance.
It was there.
Yeah, it was there. Just had to get it up and over.
Yeah. At the point of Saba going to strike that ball, you're thinking 70% of the time she wins that point?
Yeah, I'd have said so. All she had to do was find the space over the net, right? That was it.
Okay, but still, I don't want to sound patronising, but plucky Linette is now at advantage with a game point to force a tiebreak. Return from Saba, it's decent. Cool, that's good play from Linette, though, hitting. Oh, did she get lucky there? She did, because the net cord not only went Linette's way, it also, I think, changed the trajectory of the ball that was going out.
I was going out, yeah.
And landed now on the line to turn out to be a winner for her
The
7th winner. Anyway.
The tournament of the net card, right? Love it.
Indeed. 6-all now. 6 games all as they head into a tiebreak. If Linette wins this match, no matter what happens from here, that'll be a moment.
She earned the other points for me, so and no luck in net cards, of course, as we keep repeating from Jensen Brooksby.
Sabalenka serving first in this tiebreak.
Interesting, by the way, Sabalenka's dropped 5 points on serve, and having been broken, obviously, there had to have been 4 points she dropped on serve in the same game. So outside of that one game, she's dropped 1 point on serve.
Indeed. Yeah, that's an interesting stat.
As she,
Sabalenka, by the way, with a 1-2 punch, and she leads 1-0.
Kills a forehand there to go up 1-love in the tiebreak.
Yeah, but that's an interesting stat regarding how we would anticipate this tiebreak to go. Because if you've only lost 1 point on your serve aside from the break, then you should be in pretty good shape regarding the tiebreak. 1-0.
Back to first serve for Linette there. Just got a let cord, so she's going again. Goes big out wide, can't quite make it, so it's a second serve. Again, we've had very few second serves from Linette, so does Sabalenka try to take advantage, or what does she do with the return at least? Let's find out. Sabalenka with a backhand return cross court. Can't believe that second serve was in. Goes massive down the line. Yeah, huge play. Great play from Sabalenka. That was gutsy.
Yeah, I also think the Linette serve that just landed in, it was very close to being a double fault. I don't think that was intentional to go necessarily that close to the line. I could be wrong. But anyway, 2-love, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, maybe the legs feeling a little shaky, just a bit more difficult to get some spin on the ball when your legs go, which would happen in nervy moments of a match. Though the way she's been playing this tournament, she shouldn't be feeling many nerves. Second serve.
I remember her trying to serve out a match, but it was her 3rd round match against Alexandrova, maybe, or someone. And she did. I think she fouled. She had two chances to serve it out, and she took the second one, but not the first. Linette, I'm referring to. Sabalenka now 3-0 up in this tiebreak, so she's got a real foothold, let's say, on this match, because she's now going to serve with a double mini break advantage. Those stats that you mentioned in terms of her only losing 1 point on serve, aside from when she got broken in the first, was it the first game? I think it was of the match where she got broken.
Yeah.
Really coming to fruition. Jethro, hi there. Sabalenka's power is awesome indeed. 4-love, she now leads.
I'm going to envision Sabalenka's ground stroke speed average coming up on the screen, and I think it will happen. She's obviously up the ante in this tiebreak by the looks of it, because those backhands and forehands were markedly bigger than a few of Linette's other service points. I think she's going for it here, and she's succeeding, which, again, Sabalenka should get a ton of credit for. I don't know if people are disregarding her accomplishments this tournament alone, but she's done amazingly to bounce back from last season. So amazingly.
Yeah. And this would be her 19th consecutive set. I mean, it's not done yet, but she's close to the finish line in this set alone. Second serve here for Linette, and it's a double fault.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's an ace. Second serve ace.
I did think that was a nice looking serve, but I'll be honest, I wasn't sure. Yeah, well played.
Oh, look at that. Just in a millimetre or two in. And I called the double fault a little bit prematurely. And now Linette is serving, but staring down the barrel in this first set. Anyway, love 5.
Does Sabalenka know she won that point?
I'm not sure, but I think her reaction was more positive than my suggestion that she double faulted. She's won that one anyway, 6-love.
Just her face looked very disappointed, and I don't know. We'll find out in a second. She looked like she wasn't 100 because Linette couldn't get to the serve anyway, right? So I don't know if she knows for certain that she lost that point.
We've already had that amusing moment when Daniel Collins thinks she's won the match. That was very funny. I didn't notice it, funny enough, when I think I was commentating on that match or maybe just watching it. But either way, I wasn't aware that I saw her react like she did. And in hindsight, I should have realized because she does react like she's won the match. I just thought she was maybe going a bit over the top, having won a point. Anyway, I noticed that Mark Petchey in the commentary box, he got it straight away. But there we go. Mark Petchey's one step ahead of me, it seems. 6-love here, Sabalenka leads. So she's got 6 set points.
Yeah, no super tie break here. Can't about the first. Big backhand down the middle. Big backhand down the middle again from Sabs. Gets a forehand cross. Can't quite get the angle. Still, the rally continues. Linette with an aggressive forehand inside out. Big lob from Sabs. Is not in though, don't think.
6-1.
6-1, yep. This is good so far.
Yeah. I was going to talk about nerve management, but I have no idea what I was going to say now. So we'll just concentrate again on the match.
Nerve management doesn't seem to be an issue for Sabs this tournament at all. No. Again, all that confidence just brimming from the serve. So I can imagine she'll probably convert her first here. Why not? I'll make the prediction. Big first serve from... Oh, never mind. Second serve from Sabs. I'll stick to my guns, though.
Okay. 6-1.
Second serve to the Linette. Backhand cross. Backhand bigger cross from Sabs. Gets an aggressive ball with a forehand. Goes cross court. Linette on defence and pushes it long. She did know that she'd won that point. I think a matter of finally to the camp. And tie break to Sabalenka. First set. 19th consecutive set.
Cool. I've got a 60-second video and I'm going to play it now and then we'll analyze that first set.
Okay, go.
Cool, and we're back. Sabalenka winning that tiebreak, 7 points to 1, showing few signs of nerves, as we touched upon there in the commentary. It's looking good now for Aryna, right?
It was looking very good. Yeah, again, brimming with confidence. There's no need for her really to panic at any point or get nervy with the set lead, feel like she's going to lose anything. If that serve keeps going, then there's not much Linette should be able to do about it. Although that was a close set, and honestly, I don't think Sabalenka played quite as well as she could have on return. So for her to come through that, she'll maybe be even more confident, and this could be quite a one-sided set.
Yeah. I mean, the key point you made just as we went into that tiebreak, which I wasn't aware of, was the fact that she had only dropped 1 point on serve throughout, aside from when she got broken in the first game. So that would have been about 5 service games, I guess, something like that she would have only dropped 1 point on. And she took that into the tiebreak and won it fairly easily in the end.
Mm-hmm. As Matthew D'Souza says there, I think Linette played well, but Sabalenka went up a gear in the tiebreak. It's interesting because big hitters, tiebreaks should favour them. Obviously, maybe it sounds obvious, but throughout the entirety of a match, to sustain really big hitting for a very constant period of time, that's difficult to do consistently. But if you're only given 7 odd points to do it in, why not? If you've got the confidence, it's quite easy to just swing freely and go for it. So tiebreaks should benefit Sabalenka. I'm going to look up her tiebreak record in a second, but maybe no surprise that she was able to step up there.
Look up her tiebreak record. I'm going to share an image on the screen of the Melbourne skyline. Nothing special, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Not. I was hoping to find some stats from there, but I didn't in the end in terms of sharing an image anyway. But I have got a nice little image of the night time in Melbourne, where I'm guessing the time is. I'm not actually guessing. I'm trying to do the maths. 10:46 p.m. It will be in Melbourne right now, as you can see from this skyline, well into the night. Sabalenka would have been a similar time of night that she played her last Grand Slam semi-final. I see Linette has taken a break at the end of that first set. Looks like she's now re-entering the court. Probably just a regular routine bathroom break. And Sabalenka pacing up and down, awaiting her opponent. And yeah, she'll obviously be feeling pretty good. Did you manage to grab some stats for Sabalenka regarding tie breaks?
I don't have this tiebreaks one, but I have the amount of matches where she's played a tiebreak that she's gone on to win, I guess, or lose, if that makes sense. So when she's played a tiebreak, she's won 67 of those matches to 49 lost. So that's actually a pretty decent record. You're talking about 60% or so. It's pretty good, definitely.
19 sets in a row. And I touched on her form after New York. I don't recall what she did in Guadalajara, but I do know very well that she got to the WTA final.
I think she lost to Rybakina there, actually.
Oh, did she?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe Pegula beat... Yeah, that seems unlikely then. I don't think they would have played.
Did Pegula win the title?
Yes, she did, yeah.
Go on.
I'll do it very quickly. I've got it.
Yeah, do that very quickly. I'll get back to the match. It's Linette serving, having lost the first set. That's a good change of direction from her. Is it going to help her win the point? Should do, but not yet. Good. Oh, that's not a good enough drop shot. Sabalenka will eat that for breakfast all day long. Love 15.
She lost to another one of my favorite players, Ludmila Samsonova. So no shame in that. It was 3 sets.
There you go. Yes, so then, of course, going into the WTA finals, she comes up against Iga in the semi-finals. She wins that, Sabalenka. She then loses the final to Garcia, but it was a super, super close match, that final. It was straight sets for Garcia, but I think there may have only been one break of serve in that match.
Yeah, it was one of the highest quality finals I think we've had all year, for sure. It's like, and you look at Sabalenka in finals and say she hasn't stepped up. She stepped up in that final, but Garcia was better. That was class from the two of them. It was so good. I think it's the Swiatek win that has probably made a lot of people think Sabalenka could win the tournament prior to this run of form, I guess, right? And you know, that filled up people with a lot of confidence. I think it filled her with a lot of confidence because her serve was great there as well. That 6-1 set, for example, to close the match, so good. So I think a lot. I'm in the same camp as a lot of other people. The Swiatek one was huge.
Yeah, exactly. And that was in the semi-finals. And she's carried that into this year as well, not dropping a set thus far, including today, of course. So she's now on a 19 sets in a row winning streak. I love that stat that Jack brought up as well during the first set of this match when he said that her longest winning streak last year was 5. And we're already only on the 26th day of the year. And she's already on 19 set winning streak. So, yeah.
30 all here, by the way. I know it was love 30, but still a pressure moment. Linette able to step up a little bit. Looks like Sabalenka is just showing a little bit more solidity from the back of the court, though. So Linette struggling to come up with something different. The drop shot, obviously a failed option there. We are looking at a second serve. So does Sabalenka go tiebreak and go big, or does she hold back a little bit? Here we go.
I think she'll go big. I mean, listen, let's see if she gets it in.
She does go big. Backhand inside out. But it goes long, yeah. So she did try and take the initiative.
I mean, I just wonder if she's match point down or even match point up, but match point down in particular, whether she would go big on that. I don't know how the nerves are and what the mind process is. I'm just thinking that if I'm facing a match point, I'm thinking maybe I'm not going big on this. But at 1 set to love and beginning of the second set, whatever.
I think she does tend to just go big regardless
just go
of the
big
situation.
Anyway. That helps in a way in terms of, by the way, Linette has held one love. That if you're just always going big, there's no, at least the clarity of mind is a little clearer, if you like.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's no second guessing yourself, of course, and that does help quite a lot. The only time she was second guessing herself was on serve, and that's where we saw all the yips and the problems, etc., under pressure. So it's a completely different situation, really. She's always been good on ground strokes. The Samsonova hype is real, Jeffro. Believe it now. She will be back with a vengeance. I don't know when, I don't know where, but it's happening. At some point this year, it's happening. Definitely.
Linette has run a few more meters than her opponent. She's run 800 compared to Sabalenka's 762. So both plenty
Never,
of meters into
ne-
their legs.
never
I'm just
really tells you much, does it? The stats, I don't
not
know.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
you would expect the person who's dictating play and therefore probably are leading on the scoreboard to have run a bit less than their opponent, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's kind of it.
But that's it. Yeah, yeah. But what it might do is it might not tell you about what's gone on, but it might tell you about what might come ahead. If we are into a fifth set and one player has run a lot more than their
Mhm.
opponent, then you might go, oh, well, I guess if one of these two players is tired or not. But then, even then, you're probably just going to be watching and seeing which one is out of breath. Because even then, it might be, well, which one's coming back from an injury? How old are the players? You've got to factor in lots of things. If a player is limping, or struggling for breath, struggling with
Yeah.
the heat, all sorts of factors. But
The only,
maybe that can just augment an idea that going into a fifth set, one player might have an advantage of that. Of course, on the women's side, they
yeah,
only played best of three. Do you know what the head-to-head is between Sabalenka and Rybakina? Because I do.
I don't. If you tell me how many matches, I could take a
They
punt.
played three.
3, I'll say 2-1 to Rebecca. 3-love. Okay. Well, when were the meetings? And then we'll
Let's
dissect a
have a look.
little.
I'll scroll down for you. So it's 3-0 for Sabalenka in the head-to-head meeting with Rybakina. Of course, they've not met in a Grand Slam final. Sabalenka's never even been in one. The most recent was at Wimbledon, but 2 years ago. So obviously not the year that. That's a really interesting point. The fact that they played at Wimbledon in the
That's the
fourth
year.
round.
That's the year she made the semis and lost to
That's
Pliskova.
right.
So that was a
Yeah.
huge year. I remember. I don't really remember the match actually.
No, I don't
Totally.
remember it.
Yeah.
And Rybakina, by the way, has won Wimbledon, and the one year that she didn't win it in the last two, not in the Wimbledon's history. There's been a few other years she didn't win it, but the one year she didn't win it, it was when she lost. She had to beat Sabalenka in the fourth round, and even then it was 3 sets.
So
By the
yeah,
way,
that last person
look
has
at
lost at Wimbledon basically, which is a
the
big deal.
3 matches have all gone 3.
Interesting. Okay. Wuhan as well. I'm pretty sure Sabalenka went on to win that, right? And then Abu Dhabi, she also went on to win that.
Yeah,
So
all 3 matches followed the same pattern as well. So 3 matches, 3 sets. Sabalenka wins the first. Rybakina wins the second. Sabalenka wins the third.
interesting. Well, hopefully we'll get a cracker at least whatever happens if Sabalenka does go through here.
Yeah,
I'm excited
long
to
way to
see.
go. Long way to go, yeah. 40-30 on the Sabalenka serve in this particular encounter where she's got Linette.
A little bit more, by the way, of Linette trying to hit down the middle of the court to take away the angles, but she's just got a little looser. Some of the unforced errors are creeping up in her game where they haven't in previous matches. So it's not looking good for Linette. Looks like she's dipped a little. Looks like Sabalenka has increased a little bit, or at least her intention to go big has definitely emerged. So yeah, I fancy Sabalenka's chances a lot here.
You may have responded to this, I'm not sure, but Jethro there saying that you tricked him into thinking Samsonova is the real deal now.
Yeah, I mean, I did just say that she'll be the real deal in a while. I didn't say no. That's fair. So sorry, Jeffrey. I definitely tricked you into the. I think she went out in the second round, right?
By the way, of course, you notice how I emphasized the word now to sort of give you an out there, Jack. But in addition, you also say in a while. It's quite a vague thing. In a while, Dimitrov will win a Grand Slam.
Well, that's that's big. And yeah, I suppose you've just said Grand Slam. It could be mixed doubles, could be men's doubles. Who knows?
Yeah, true. Okay, Linette on serve here, 15 all, third game of this second set.
Yeah, and this one was a tough one, isn't she? Because really her peak should be like top 10, but especially with a return game. But yeah, she just doesn't show up often enough. And neither do a lot of the big hitters. Sabalenka's about the only one recently that's looking backable, right?
By the way, I'm just thinking of players that you sort of go big on for a while. At what point do you stop going big and then you end up regretting it? I remember it's a pity that I know Jethro and you, Jack, are not huge football fans, but I remember Paul Scholes going about 30 matches without scoring a goal for England, and I kept betting on him scoring, if you like, and he kept letting me down, and I just didn't want to be there when he
Yeah.
finally did it.
Yeah.
And in a way, tennis the same.
Yeah.
Players that you go big on, you're gonna like. I imagine Dimitrov probably comes back into that conversation over the years. Tsitsipas probably as well. This is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. And you almost get to the point that you don't want to not back them because this could be you suddenly stop backing them and then they go and do it. You know.
I've got a strong argument to make that she was actually a bit underpowered here in the slower conditions. I'll stick to her. As soon as it's a natural surface or it's a quick hard court, she should be playing well. I mean, it was 6-3, 6-love. That's a pretty, big deficit. So something else had to be going wrong. It wasn't just totally a rally from her. So I'm backing her still, but I get what you mean, John. There might be a bit of stubbornness there as well.
Yeah, but I think also, I mean, how old is she?
She's fairly young. I think she's 26, I want to say. Okay. I'll just look up. And that's a break point. Yeah.
We've got a break point here for Linette. Hi, Faizan. Nice of you to drop by.
24.
Okay, 24.
Yeah.
Did I put up? I don't think I did. I was supposed to put a poll on for this match to see who would win. Maybe I did. I don't know. No, I don't think I did. Oh well, it's probably a bit late now. But okay, break point. Sabalenka, good return from her, and it's enough to force the error. We've got the break. 2-1 now. Sabalenka leads as well as a set.
She's reading the serve better as well. She was ready for the backhand return. Gave it a lot of pop, bringing it back cross court there, enough to force the error. Really well played. I kind of thought the first serve tactics from Linette weren't considered. They weren't going to work throughout the entirety of a whole match. Slowing it down and just making sure you get enough of them in. Because as soon as Sabalenka gets an eye in, she's going to go after them. And really, that first set felt like it was absolutely crucial for Linette to win. So doesn't feel like there's a way back here.
I've got Azarenka on my screen again, given her press conference from earlier. Did you see a press conference she gave maybe about 48 hours ago where she was quite emotional about the treatment that she had received in the immediate aftermath of, I think it was a semi-final win she had in Melbourne about 10 years ago.
Against Sloane Stephens.
And she took a medical timeout, did she? Or she...
Yeah.
And some... negativity emerged as a result from that, and she says I'm over it now. That's what she said yesterday, 10 years later. But I don't think she is, considering the language she used. And this is on the back of a win, by the way. This is after her quarterfinal win, not the day after her loss. So
I get it. I get it. She'll just get back. She was being badgered about it for 10 years or so, or however long after she won that tournament, and that should have been her lasting memory, basically. I mean, she took the medical time out. I don't know if you know the whole story, John, but she took the medical time out as Sloane Stephens was serving to stay in the match. So there was a question of sportsmanship, a question of integrity. She's basically said she had a legitimate problem, and why not? Believe her. She's not had a similar situation beforehand. She's not had a similar situation afterwards. It is what it is, and she had to shut down a lot of people to finally, I guess, stop hearing about that. Or maybe she still hears about it.
Was that in the semi-final?
It was in the semi-final, yeah.
I mean, just out of curiosity. Yeah, I guess, of course, the skeptics, if you like, will say that she was fine after the medical timeout. She won the match and then she went on to win the final. I'm not saying that I sympathize with the skepticism, because I think ultimately we don't know. And therefore, if you don't know, you're innocent until proven guilty,
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, she's not got previous. I think that sometimes helps me make an educated guess. Exactly. So I'm inclined to believe her, and she does seem like she's genuinely, very irked by it. There'd be a lot of disingenuity if she was lying about it, right? And it might be a little bit less emotional for her.
She's, like I say, she's still emotional about it. You can hear from her voice is crackling when she's talking about it. And this is yesterday, as I say, or the day before, just after she won her quarterfinal against Pegula, I guess. So, she's had a great quarterfinal. I'm guessing a journalist probably brought it up in some way, shape, or form. I've just seen her response, if you like, as Linette tries to go for a drop shot there.
Kind of had to, because you couldn't go into the forehand without.
Yeah.
No,
it was just not well executed. I was chatting to Damien the other day, and he was talking about commentators, and he was talking about how commentators always go, "Oh, that was the wrong choice," if you like, regarding the drop shot in particular. But of course, half the time it's the wrong choice, but probably a lot when it doesn't work, it's also maybe the right choice, just badly executed.
Yeah. It really depends on the match, and in that case, it was just her only shot left. I think she would have went deep otherwise, basically.
Yeah, indeed. It's 40-30 here, Sabalenka serving for a 3-1 lead. Yeah, I would probably, I don't know, you'd have to show me 1,000 drop shots, to be honest with you, and then it would be subjective. But I would imagine probably over half are probably chosen at the right time. But I'd love to see stats on drop shots from, every player on the tour, if you like, as in like, do you win the point or not? Because really you should be winning the point well over half the time because you're in charge of the point. You're not very often. That was maybe a slight exception there where she didn't have too many choices. But and it was also I'm thinking about baseline. You're at the baseline basically, and you go for the drop shot. As Sabalenka, big hold that for her there, 3-1. You're in charge of the point. You don't go for the drop shot very often on the defensive. You've got a choice. Do you go big on your forehand, for example, although it could, of course, be on the backhand, which is what your opponent is expecting because you're in charge of the point, but suddenly you try to deceive them and go for the drop shot. For me, you've got to be winning 70% of those points.
It's interesting. Some players use the drop shot, not in defence, John, but they sometimes use it in neutral positions in a rally as a sort of surprise tactic, and other players use it on the offence. So I'm more versed with
40 then in terms of you got to be winning those points.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'm more versed on drop shots on the ATP side where it's more commonly used, right? And you see someone like Carlos Alcaraz will use it when he set up a great forehand and then he changes his grip at the last second, goes for the drop shot on the offense. Medvedev, for example, backhands cross court will pull out a drop shot in the middle of a neutral rally to try and take his opponent off guard. So you're more likely to have drop shot winners from Alcaraz, where Medvedev might be a bit closer to 50-50. So it depends how you use it.
Got it. For those of you wondering why Jack suggested it's more common on the ATP side, I mean, just basically the guys are hitting the ball that bit faster. And so therefore the court position of the opposition, if you like, is going to be that bit deeper. So obviously the further they are away from the net, the more likely you are to win the point with a drop shot.
Exactly. Yeah. Although we do sometimes see some bits of variety, even from Sabalenka, drop shots, but it's more likely she uses it in the clay season than the
And again,
hard court
clay
season.
would also be the surface that lends itself to the drop shot slightly more than a hard court. But 30 love 30 here, Linette, on her own serve. So a little moment here as well for Sabalenka to really put her foothold in this match. Linette puts it into the net, 3 break points.
Drop shot average, by the way, for the WTA Tour win percentage is 53%, which isn't great, according to Tennis Abstract. And Aryna Sabalenka's average is 56%. So she uses that.
She's above average on the drop shot. That's good.
Yeah. But back to the match, of course, 3 break points. Huge here. It's pretty much curtains, right?
Yep, I would suggest so. And it's a pretty good return from Sabalenka. Pretty neutral at the moment. Linette changing the direction slightly, comes into the net. That must have just clipped the line. She got away with that in a way. I mean, she made the right decision, I think, in terms of the fact that she puts herself in a good. This is Linette puts herself in a good position in terms of the point. Comes into the net, fairly easy volley. Just technically, I don't think it was a great shot, but she clipped the line with her volley, which was certainly not her intent. She didn't need to go that close to the line. But anyway, 15-40, 2 break points. First serve this time in from Linette. She's on the forehand. Sabalenka, just creeped over the net. Oh, she's got that one, though. Sabalenka now has a double break. But so Sabalenka's got the double break, but really could well have... What happened with that volley?
Just a tough one. It went down
Technique seemed to be quite right to me.
It went under the lowest part of the net, I guess, and it was pretty difficult to control. That's probably all it was. And any player, even pros, can struggle with those ones definitely. So it's a tough
What are
one.
your volleys? What are your volleys like, Jack?
I'm all right at volleying, actually. I like a volley. I always call them the easiest shot in tennis. So I must be doing something right. I just think that you can't muck them up very easily if you're doing the right technique, basically.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I would say my volleys got a little bit better about a year ago. I remember having some coaching with them, and I thought, okay, they got better. And I think they did get better, funny enough, but probably over the last 12 months, I've neglected them. And as a result, they've probably not necessarily regressed. Perhaps it's also a self-compliment, but I've probably improved other parts of my game, and that hasn't improved. And now it's kind of not quite back to square one, but they don't appear so impressive. We've got a Bjorn Borg lookalike in the crowd there. I'm pretty sure that isn't the great Swede who's won 11 Wimbledons and French Opens collectively, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That could be the most. Like no, because Rafa will have 16, I guess, between the two. But it's a nice balance he has between those 6 and 5.
Yeah, of course, and certainly the joint longest streak at the French, right? In fact, does he have the longest streak? Did Rafa ever win 5 in a row? Yeah, he did, didn't he? Talking
Did
nonsense.
he win 5 in a row? Probably. 05 to 08.
By the
10. I don't think he has won 5 in a row, has he?
Maybe not, actually. No, wait,
10, 11,
11, 12, 13,
14.
That's 5.
Doesn't win in 15. Doesn't win in 16. No, he hasn't got 5 in a row.
No, that's 5, John. 10.
Yeah, exactly. So he's equaled it, yeah.
Yeah, he's equaled it. Yeah, exactly. We're getting sidetracked, right?
We are. But anyway, listen, we've had far bigger. I got so sidetracked the other day. I was talking to Vanch, and we missed a break of serve from Shelton against Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul was up 4-3 and within touching distance of the semi-final. And we got sidetracked, and we just both looked at the screen and more or less the same. Hang on a second, he's just broken back. So we've had far bigger sidetracks over the last couple of weeks.
In that vein, to bring talking tennis back to the tennis, Sabalenka has just went 15-30 down with a huge forehand unforced error. She's taking a deep breath, trying to bring her back to sanity here. I think the first serve will be crucial if she's feeling any nerves, but she does miss it. So what can happen here? Second serve. Does the double fault come back in the most crucial moment with the finishing line in sight?
Indeed.
Here we go. Second serve. Does make it big, wide, actually. Really good. But Linette with a great backhand cross goes down the line. This is looking dangerous. 15-40.
Listen, she went super risky with that second serve because it was almost a double fault. I was almost waiting for the players to stop because I thought it might have been. But I tell you what, it didn't matter because Linette was excellent there with that. It's almost like she's taking it on the rise. It's not a half volley. You know what I mean? I love that when the players take the backhand on the rise and shoot it down the line as Linette did so successfully.
Yeah,
Two great points.
Yeah, I always say that when I'm teaching backhands as well. The reason it's called a shield is because there's no need to add pace to it a lot of the time. Just redirect it. There's no need. You're taking on way more risk than you need to, and Linette showed a great example of it there. A great point, by the way, from Sabalenka.
Was a great point. Second serve from Sabalenka was almost a double fault in my opinion. But Linette did great, and in the end, they were one of those situations where both of them are just hitting forehands at incredible angles, and in the end, Sabalenka wins the point, 30-40.
As they say, 99% out is 100% in, so it doesn't matter how close to the line you are. Well played, Sabalenka.
Indeed.
Another second serve, though. Talk us through this one. This could be crucial. Second serve to the Linette. Forehand again, goes close to the lines. Forehand inside out, she's in control of the point. Big forehand down the line. Linette defends enough to give her up. Oh, look at a forehand down the line, and the net cord denies. It is back to Juice.
Yeah, but it was almost as if the ball thought about going over the net, but then decided not to. Anyway, it's back to Juice.
10 times. That was big. I mean, that was big.
And that could easily have been a winner either by fortune or otherwise from Linette. But anyways, Juice Sabalenka goes long on the first serve, so that feels like 3 or 4 first serves she's missed in a row.
It is, yeah, you're right. I think that's the fourth.
It would have been the 4th in a row. Hasn't denied her from winning the last 2 points, though. Deuce, and this time it's comfortably in. Decent return from Linette. Changing the direction, and it's advantage Linette.
Yeah, I don't know if Sabalenka can beat herself up for that. It's just a very good forehand from Linette to start off the point. Gave Sabalenka a few options. She kind of did have to go down the line there, right? Totally opened up. But great play from Linette to make Sabalenka second guess what she was doing.
So the third break point of this game, Jethro suggesting that he always stays on topic, never gets sidetracked. Jethro, myself, and Jamie, that's an ace, is it, for Sabalenka? Indeed it is. So
yeah, is that first ace of the match?
Jethro, I'll be putting that to the test. Oh, is it first ace of the match?
I'm just going to check, yeah.
I'll be putting that to the test, Jethro, on Friday when tomorrow when you, Jamie, and myself will be taking us through the Djokovic match. If Djokovic is up 2 sets and a double break, let's see how sidetracked Jethro, me, and Jamie get and see what alleyway we end up going down.
Could well happen. Against Tommy Paul, of course. Yeah, I'm not particularly excited about that one.
Are you not?
No, not really. No, the way he's playing, it should be straight, right? But I'll give Tommy Paul the surprise factor, given they've not met, given he does have a difference in his game. He can come forward a bit easier. Blutered forehand from Sabalenka, by the way, to go up advantage.
Indeed.
Yeah, he gets a set with that, John, but it's going to be Novak and probably in straights, right?
Yeah, I think you're right, though, in that they've never played each other. The second time that Novak has played someone in this tournament he's not played before. And
we know how it went the first time.
Pardon?
We know how it went the first time he played somebody he hadn't met before.
Yeah. De Minaur, a couple of rounds ago when he won very, very easily. But I just think there's a bit more of a surprise factor with Tommy Paul, and I also think Tommy Paul is playing the best tennis of his career. I thought Tommy Paul actually and Novak would end up meeting in Paris-Bercy last year when Tommy beat Rafa in the second round. They were on a collision course for the semi-finals, but Tsitsipas knocked out Tommy Paul in a match that surprised me, actually. I thought Tommy Paul would win that. So they were on a collision course previously, but that didn't happen. And I do think, when we went into that Rublev match, I think we all knew what to expect. We all kind of saw how it was probably going to go. We also all believed that Rublev was going to have to play the best match of his career and hope for Novak to have an off day. And all sorts of things. We also knew about Andre's quarterfinal record. We know how good Novak is in Melbourne, blah, 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 blah. I just think that there's a bit more, just a lot of those things I've just said don't apply. I'm clutching at straws, Jack, and I can see it from your face there. I still think that he could win the first set, and then, he could have he had a good serving day against Shelton in the previous round. He could have a great serving day. First set goes to a tie break. He's up a set and whatever, and then, could be interesting.
Yeah, my
only maybes.
My only thoughts, so Paul is a very flashy player. He doesn't do the meat and potatoes, serve and forehand as well as other players. You kind of need that against Novak because you're not going to get a look at return game for a long, long time. I think Djokovic will be able to tear him apart where other players haven't, especially Shelton, who's not the best returner in the world quite yet. He holds his serve amazingly, but I think he held serve 68 consecutive times going into the second set break in that match. So,
okay.
Hey, by the way, it's love 30, 5-1.
Indeed, and a second serve here for Aryna to look at. She is 2 points away from a place in her first Grand Slam final. She's a double breakup. Love 30 Linette. Backhand return from Saba goes wide, so it's 15-30.
Inside out there, did go big. Got to keep going with it though.
Yeah,
keep going with the plan that got you to this position in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that the only time you might have a doubt about moving away from this game plan is if you're down a set and a break, not up a set and double break. Yeah. Forehand return, Saba goes big on that one. Is he going to win at the point? It's not.
Surely. Oh, really?
That might good defense there from Really good defense, but it's not going to be enough from Linette.
Surely not,
In the
yeah.
end, she just, boy, those stats regarding running stats there, Linette would have been cracking up another 100 meters in that last point, I think, alone. Go on.
I was going to say, I actually saw the high intensity changes in those stats. It was telling. She's had like 20 more than Sabalenka. It was like 30-9 or something. So high intensity changes, accelerating and decelerating, she's doing a lot more of than Sabalenka.
And that is what's going to exhaust you. 15-40, 2 match points. Aryna Sabalenka for a place in the Australian Open final. Linette serving down the tee, but goes long on the first serve. A few first serves going missing in this set compared to the previous one. 15-40, second serve. Aryna Sabalenka not sitting inside the baseline for this one, though. But let's see how it pans out. Backhand return from Aryna, clips the net. Linette now. Oh, Sabalenka puts that one into the net. The 30-41 has been saved. There was a net called there.
I think you're probably taking us over the line here, John, but...
Right, I'll take us over the line potentially.
Who knows? It was a tight backhand.
Yeah.
Didn't really come close to going over the net.
Okay, so first serve is not in. I believe that did go wide rather than a net cord. So it's 30-40. Second serve again for Linette. Sabalenka this time. Still behind the baseline. Backhand return is good. Forehand now Saba. Goes long. Deuce.
Okay.
Listen, it's going to happen. For those of you that are Sabalenka fans tuning in, it's going to happen. You're just going to have to wait a couple more minutes.
Yeah, surely. Yeah. And again, it's because of the confidence in the serve. If she was in this position last year, you'd have been like, oh, God, this isn't a given, is it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, still very confident.
Backhand return from Sabalenka. Backhand again, Saba. Linette on the stretch. And it's going to be another match point for Aryna Sabalenka for a place in the Australian Open final, where she will play potentially, if she wins this point, Aryna Rybakina. So, listen, big match temperament. We kind of know that Rybakina can bring it. 1 set to love down to Ons Jabeur in the Wimbledon final last year. And she pulled up the goods. Okay, Sabalenka on the return. It's a first serve at the moment for Linette, and that goes long. Again, missing the first serve. Match point number 3 for Aryna Sabalenka. Where are you going with this one, Linette? Don't double fault, please. She lands it in, but it was pretty close. Forehand Aryna, forehand Magda, forehand Sabalenka, goes wide. Deuce.
Again, not much of an option there. Actually, really well played from Linette. Didn't really give Sabalenka a chance to go for the all-out winner. So fair enough. Not really Sabalenka's fault there.
Matches that spring to mind on a double fault ending. I think, did Novak double fault against Rafa in a French Open final that sealed the deal for Rafa? I think he did.
Possibly, yeah. Was it the 2013
About 10 years
one, maybe?
ago. Pardon?
2013, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 2012, 2013.
I think that was the one where he fell over the net up a break, right? And
no, you're thinking of the semi-final, aren't you?
I am thinking of the semi-final, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That when I think his t-shirt touched the net, didn't it?
I think possibly. It looked like quite a lot of them went into the net, from what I remember. I could be wrong. I know Rafa egregiously pointed at him, but fair enough. It was like,
did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Verdasco double fault against Rafa in 2009. Yeah, in that semi-final, that was epic.
Brutal,
I think it was a final that Rafa won pretty comfortably. 3 or 4 sets, probably 4 sets against Novak. Linette misses her first serve again. She's on game point right now. Otherwise, we would have brought you straight back, of course, if it had been a match point. But it's game point for Linette. It's been a nervy game. She keeps missing her first serve. Aryna returning this second serve. Backhand return is decent. Backhand again, Aryna is really good, but good defense, in my opinion, from Linette, although in the instance to attack. And Sabalenka goes long. So she's going to have to serve it out. 5-2.
Ask her the question, Linette. You never know, but she will have 2 bites of the cherry at the very least. So So this is where it gets tested, obviously, isn't it? You know, she's at that point in the tournament. She's never been passed. She's got her new serve. She's looking to serve out the match. She's got 2 chances. If there are any cracks in that serve, I imagine they'll show up here. But I don't think there are.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 goes at it, in a
Does
way, so
help.
that helps. That helps the nerves a bit. You know, I think if it's a third set, 5-4, serving for the match, serving for the championship, whatever, and you don't hold, you know, that's tough. And that's tough going into that. You know, you're 5-4 up in the third set. You're serving for your first time ever to go into it. And also perhaps, no disrespect to Linette, but perhaps the opponent on the other side of the net, you know, if she's serving for the match against Iga in a third set for a semi-final or final, and you're going into that, you're sitting down right now and you're 30 seconds away from returning to the court. That's just, I'm just building the tension, if you like, slightly more than a double breakup and a setup against Linette.
There's a very, very obvious way for Linette to play here, and that's make balls.
Yeah.
Obviously, surely. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been making balls before, but I mean, there's been a lot of counter punching from her. I just say let Sabalenka make the plays through and through, see if she can hold her nerve.
Yeah. 5-2. Second serve, Aryna Sabalenka. Oof, that was close. And it's a net cord in favor of Sabalenka.
Oh, no way. She'll take
Yes,
it, obviously.
right.
But
And that changed that point dramatically.
there's been a lot of second serves we're seeing are close, by the way. Credit to her. They're all in.
Yeah.
So you can't fault them.
I mentioned one that was close from Linette earlier on that I suggested was not by design, but they've been so frequent from Aryna that I think they are by design. First serve goes long from Aryna. Second serve for Linette to look at. She's down 15-love after that unfortunate net cord. That time, though, goes well long.
Oh, there we go. There's
Double
a few
fault.
cracks. There's a sign of a few cracks. She's a wry smile going over her face there.
But it could easily be love 30 right now. Instead, it's 15-all.
I mean, it could easily be one break as well, right? She had those 15-40 points she had to save at 4-2 or so, I think, to go up the
first serve there from Sabalenka.
4-1
Good
even.
1-2 punch, 30-15, 2 points away from victory.
Back
She's had
to
3
basics.
match points as well, don't forget.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
On the Linette serve, she's now 2 points away from victory.
I swear it looks like Sabalenka's speaking English on the court from her lip, trying to read her lips, but I'm not sure.
Her coaching team is what? Do we know? Nationality?
Pretty sure English.
Okay.
Have to double check. Not English, sorry, but it speaks English. Yeah.
She's put that one into the net, so there'll be a few English expletives probably going through her mind right now. I think that may influence things. I also even think that people maybe before the tournament, I've heard Rafa, for example, use English when he's in not always, but I've heard him use English in an English like "come on" at Wimbledon, if you like, and then "vamos" when he's in Madrid.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, an ace from Sabalenka.
Ace, there we go. There we go. So any cracks dispelled there with an emphatic swing of the racket to go 40-30 up, match point. Here we go.
Match point number 4. You can talk us through this one.
Shall do. Going for the first serve in a second. Goes for the first serve to the Linette backhand. It's huge. It's going to be a million years to set up the forehand. It's enough, and it goes past Linette. Sabalenka's won the match 7-6, 6-2. She's into our first Grand Slam final. Well done, Aryna.
I don't know what language or even what vocabulary she used after she put that forehand away, but I think the word that sprung to mind for me, at least, was finally.
Yeah, there's a lot of relief, isn't there?
The 4th time of asking, both today in terms of match points, but also historically in terms of 4 Grand Slam semi-finals. She makes it to her first Grand Slam final, where she'll be playing Elena Rybakina, who's in her 2nd Grand Slam final. I think it's a really, really exciting prospect. Sorry for Magda Linette. She's had a great run at this tournament, including excellent wins over Pliskova and Garcia. She bows out. And listen, that final, Sabalenka-Rybakina, is exciting.
It's probably about the best we could have got when the quarters, I would say. were decided. I was hoping the two of them would face off in the final because
Yeah.
it's a huge deal. Obviously, Rybakina looking to maybe just finally get the points she deserves and get the ranking she deserves. And it feels like after Wimbledon, she never really got the credit she should have, I feel, from fans and tournaments alike. So this would kind of put those doubts to bed. You know, she'd be two-time holding Grand Slam champion along with Swiatek, so there'd be no doubt she deserves to be where she is. And Sabalenka going for her first title after loads and loads of heartache in the semi-finals, as you say. So two massive stories and two huge hitters. It's going to be a massive affair probably, and it'll be who can hold their nerve the best on the day.
20 sets now in a row for Sabalenka. I will be amazed if that run continues, though, in the final. In other words, a straight sets win for her. But hey, listen, she's in the form of her life. I'm really pleased for her to make her first Grand Slam final. She's been close before. I think that Pliskova semi-final at Wimbledon was 3 sets as well.
It was, yeah.
As well as the 3 sets she had against Swiatek last year. I forget, Fernandez, was that 2
was
or
3
3
sets? No, it was 3.
3 sets as well. So she finally gets over the line, and she's into the final where she'll play Rybakina. Too close to call. You know, I had Sabalenka to win the tournament. I'll stick with that because of that pre-tournament prediction. But the way Rybakina is playing, and Rybakina's generally her nerve is very good on these occasions. I think there was a couple of wobbles from her today, but perhaps we need to give Azarenka credit for that in terms of the way she made her play.
I'm going to stick my neck out. I'll say Sabalenka. I think she wins. I have a few reasons for that. I believe if it goes to rallies, Sabalenka has the edge in terms of firepower with the ball, just a little bit slower, a bit more time to set up your shots. Should favour Sabalenka, and with the returns as well, slowing down the serve slightly, especially second serves. Again, I would expect Sabalenka to be able to make the biggest plays. Also, the fact that Rybakina's first serve kind of went off the boil today a little does make me doubt for sure she'll be able to bring the goods, where actually, completely conversely to the start of the year, it's Sabalenka that's looking the most confident and backable.
The reason why I say too close to call is I think you could draw up a list of pros and cons or arguments in favor for one or the other, and they're both fairly compelling and both fairly lengthy. In other words, I think a lot of the game points that you make and is borne out as well by the fact that she has a 3-0 record, Sabalenka, against Rybakina. But I just think that this is a final of a Grand Slam. Rybakina is playing excellently. I think arguably her run to the final has been even more heroic, if you like, and tougher. She skittled over Collins, Swiatek, and Azarenka to reach this final at the expense of just 1 set, which was against Collins. So, and I'm probably missing, Ostapenko, of course, as well in that run. So, you know, she's beaten Grand Slam winners in Swiatek, Ostapenko, and Azarenka, and she's not dropped a set against any of those opponents. And I think her temperament, if one of the two in the final is going to have a collapse temperamentally, it's more likely, in my opinion, to be Azarenka it's more likely to be Sabalenka in her first Grand Slam final. But, you know, arguments for both ways. Any result is possible. I guess I've got to stick with Sabalenka. Went for her at the beginning of the tournament, though.
Yeah. And do you want a little breakdown of the match? Or
yes, please.
Yeah, so it certainly looked like for the first set, Linette's first serve percentage super high, stopped Sabalenka from stepping in. Unfortunately for her, Sabalenka did a better job than any of her previous opponents of holding her own serve. First serve nigh on unattackable, and the +1 also nigh unattackable. So it went to a tiebreak eventually after Sabalenka dropped her first game. She didn't get broken again. The tiebreak, Sabalenka stepped up and played a lot better, probably up to her ground stroke speed, though I don't have the stats. It looked like she really went for it. And after that, the hitting down the middle from Linette just kind of unraveled a little bit. Actually, Linette played a pretty poor second set, all things considered. And Sabalenka was able to take advantage. As always, you know, you can't really let Sabalenka take advantage of the points when she's free-flowing like that. So when she had the confidence and she had nothing to lose in the second set, although she obviously had everything to lose in some ways, but she played like she didn't. It looked like Linette was never really coming back from that, despite serving really well for the first set and, putting on a pretty good performance overall, considering all the stakes and such.
Yeah, just a couple of things to add there or reinforce as well. I think it was very interesting what you said about Linette in terms of her getting all those first serves in play. I think it was at 82% at the end of the first set, or certainly as we went into the tiebreak, which is a huge percentage. That did seem to go down. I don't know what her first serve stats ended up being, but that did
Oh,
seem
it
to go
did.
down.
It went to
Go on.
68% in the end, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
exactly. So that must have really gone down quite a bit in the second set. Um, things to add to that, Sabalenka needed to have an off day, really, I guess, or a nervy day. She displayed very little of the nerves, perhaps just right at the end there when it was just getting a bit tense. Perhaps that's understandable. Sabalenka as well, in terms of her serving, I was also particularly interested in that stat you brought up going into the tie break, where I think Sabalenka only got broken once in the entire match. Am I right?
Yeah, first game of the match and didn't get broken
Exactly.
again.
And from that moment onwards, she looked pretty solid on serve, particularly during the first set, where she only lost 1 point thereafter for her next, I guess, 5 service games, perhaps. She lost 1 point. Then she goes into the tiebreaker. And probably that was the last moment at 0-0 in the tiebreak was the last moment that Linette was realistically in the match because she soon finds herself 6-love down in the tiebreak, eventually losing it 7-1. Sabalenka gets a super early break as well in the second set and never looked back. Okay, I think we'll bring that to an end, Jack, because we're just short of the 2-hour mark. Yeah, lots to look forward to. We've got semi-finals tomorrow on the men's side. We'll be covering on the channel both of those tomorrow, much earlier in the morning if you are in Europe. To be getting up, I think it's about 3 GMT, 4 Central European time for the first semi-final, which will be between Khachanov and Tsitsipas. How do you see that one going, by the way?
Yeah, Tsitsipas in 4, probably. Khachanov will be able to give him some resistance from the back of the court, but the way Tsitsipas is playing that forehand again, the best forehand for me on the ATP Tour, it's been amazing here. So it looks like 4 for me.
Did you see his quarterfinal against Lehetska?
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of it. Yeah, Lehechka, definitely a big serving forehand player like Tsitsipas, but Tsitsipas just doing everything better than the Czech. Stepped up in the tiebreak again. Yeah, that result wasn't much of a surprise.
No, but I don't think Tsitsipas played that well. I think somebody asked me during the third set, it may well have been Ghibli joined, and he said, "How's the backhand from Tsitsipas been looking?" And I said, "Pretty ropey. The scoreline looks quite good, considering Lehetska's had a great run and could potentially pose a few problems. I think they went 3 sets in Rotterdam at the beginning of last year, but I thought Tsitsipas didn't play that well. He won in straight sets." Pardon?
I was going to say the stat that's impressed me the most from Tsitsipas is his break points saved rate and how many service games he's coming out the back of when he faces break points. So I think he's had 19 games where he's faced a break point so far. He saved 13 of those, so he always comes out. He tends to come out the other end of them unscathed. So he might be putting himself in pressure situations, but he's always stepping up when he is in those pressure situations. So he deserves a lot of plaudits for that.
And I think we've already touched upon the Tommy Paul semi-final with Djokovic. You just see that going one way, right?
Basically, yeah, for those who didn't hear earlier, I basically said Paul does have a little bit of variety to his game in terms of his ability to come forward, something that other players don't have against Djokovic. Could surprise Novak for the best part of a set, but the chances of him even winning one set are unlikely the way Djokovic is playing at the moment. Just does all the basics better than Paul serving. Serve placement is incredible from Djokovic, so the chances of him getting broken for starters are unlikely. Paul will have to have an amazing day on serve. So,
okay, Jack, thanks for joining us. For those of you just joining as well, or even if you've been with us throughout, hit that like button. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also, make sure you try and join us as well for the remaining singles matches. We'll cover them all with you here on the channel. The men's semi-finals tomorrow, the women's final on Saturday, and the men's final on Sunday. Jack, thanks very much. I'm going to play a video for the last... I just keep this video rolling, by the way. You will be surprised, Jack. You and we may have had 500 views today or whatever, and various people chiming in and clicking and stuff. But you wait. You and I will go off air. I'll play this video. It'll be on a reel for the next 15 minutes or so. And actually, the viewing figures often go up. So they'd rather see a 1 minute reel.
What's that say about us, John? Exactly.
I know. They'd rather see that go over and over again than it's just me just putting a few pictures and a few things together. Suddenly, we're at like 30 viewers, like double the viewers that we kind of probably averaged during this match. Anyway, listen, Jack, big thank you to you, and I'll be speaking to you soon.
Thanks, John.
enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe